I've eaten a lot of raccoon. Yes. The answer is yes. And I've eaten it hunting. I've actually had it served by my mom at the table away from hunting. And I have eaten raccoon. And yes, it's not uncommon at all. I'll tell you something that is one of my favorites is squirrel. And it's wonderful, and my mother could do a great job of it. And we all had our favorite pieces, and my dad and sister, I have one sibling, a sister, and they would fight over, not fight, but my mom and I, it was just my sister and I as for a sibling. My mom and I wouldn't even ask for the brain in a squirrel.
Oh, man.
And delicious, seriously.
My dad loves cow
My
brain.
sister always got it, or my dad.
The fight over the brain, Jim.
The fight over the brain. Well, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here from my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo and Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here. Let's wake up the football gods. Let me start off today reminding you it's not just a day for you to have off from work to start the summer and stuff your pie hole with more burgers and hot dogs and potato salad and all that. Today is the day to remember all of those who have made the ultimate sacrifice, and for those who are no longer with us. To each and every one of you veterans that have made the ultimate sacrifice, and all of you veterans that are here still with us, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you guys have done, everything that you have sacrificed to keep our country safe and free. And I appreciate it. And I'm going to say I miss my dad, I miss my brother, I miss Stuart, I miss Rashid, I miss my friend Alex. Life is so short and precious that we get tied into chasing money and things like that, and we miss out on the things that are really important. One thing I've learned about from the red brick house is I may own that red brick house right now, but I ain't owning it forever. At some point, I'm going to be gone, and that's going to become somebody else's. What's really important are those relationships that you build and that time that you spend with others. You want to live on in people's memories. Thank you all so much on this Veterans Day. On this Memorial Day. Veterans Day is another one we'll be working with too. So we're here, left to deal with the Dallas Cowboys. And I saw something that Dan Rodgers actually tweeted out yesterday. And it's one of those things that I've kind of said over and over and over again. And all we ever get is, well, it's just because Dak sucks. The Cowboys' problems are just Dak Prescott sucks. But this really sums up a lot. And the thing with the Cowboys that I don't understand is if they don't like something, they still continue to kind of go on with it. They couldn't have been happy about about Jason Garrett. I would have gotten rid of Jason Garrett after 3 years of 8-8 and 8-8 and 8-8 because those years were all the last game of the season, win and you're in the playoffs, and we could not win those games. And it seems like Mike McCarthy from year one, where everybody got hurt the COVID year, that he was constantly on the hot seat. That they never seem to really buy into and believe and support him. Dan Rodgers tweeted this out and said, "For the last 2 seasons, I have felt the sense of limitations from the Cowboys due to a lack of faith in Mike McCarthy as an offensive mastermind. True to form, he delivered as expected. McCarthy's gone now, and suddenly I feel much, much better." And that's the thing, that the Cowboys became a self-fulfilling prophecy. There were doubts about Jalen Hurts being the quarterback for the Cowboys. I remember Philly 500 and all the Eagles fans saying, well, if he doesn't work out this year, we got the number ones and stuff that we can go ahead and get another quarterback and everything else. But what the team did was they supported the quarterback to try and make him be successful. And I look at it and say, what did the Dallas Cowboys do to try and make Mike McCarthy successful? They didn't go out and get any new players. They didn't go out there and try to build the roster and say, well, maybe Mike McCarthy's not the best coach in the world, but we're going to make sure he has more talent than everybody else and can be successful that way. We kept getting things like we're doing more with less. How is that a philosophy to win? We're going to do more with less. And you're the richest sports franchise in the world. So I do feel that there is a difference in this season. The fact that you go out and get a George Pickens. I ask you, where was the George Pickens during the Mike McCarthy era? We ended up bringing in Brandon Cooks, who was an improvement, but you didn't look at when we brought in Brandon Cooks as, an ultimate weapon. He's past his prime. He's on the tail inside. Same thing with Stephon Gilmore. Those are the two biggest moves the Cowboys have brought in the time of Mike McCarthy. Now compare that to what they've already done with, of course, Shoddy. Now, maybe some of this that we're hearing about the culture change and the energy, it may be that it was just doom and gloom with Mike McCarthy, that the players could sense that the organization didn't believe in Mike McCarthy and weren't giving him the resources to try and be successful. It sure looks like that when you look at it on paper. I can't guarantee you that, everybody that we brought in is going to be an improvement on the roster, but the fact that they're actually working and trying to get players on here. We were literally going to training camp last year, bottom feeding, trying to fill in holes. We were still looking for defensive line help. We were still looking for linebacker help. We had our number 2 wide receiver had an infection in his knee. We didn't sign CeeDee Lamb. We were literally just kind of like, whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever. This year, you've got everybody here, and that's not to say you're not going to add more to it, but you at least have people that have experience that are here during OTAs, and this is the most critical time that you can get an advantage right now by getting these guys here, working with your quarterback, working with your coaches, getting the installs put in. If you are the Steelers right now and you're still waiting on Aaron Rodgers and you're going through and you're beginning, your OTAs and your mini camp, and then you're about to break, bringing in Aaron Rodgers, he's new to your system. He don't even know anybody's name. You're hamstringing yourself and having to say, we've got 14 padded practices to get Aaron Rodgers on the same page as the players and the coaches. I think that whole situation is screwed up. But now you've got Dak out there, you've got Joe Milton out there, you've got your new wide receivers and things, and you got CeeDee Lamb. And the other part of this that I think really hammers home where the Cowboys screwed up was, and I'm going to borrow Sean and RJ to explain it to us, but when you think about CeeDee Lamb was really broke up last year. And you have to wonder if some of that was two things. One, you overused him, completely overused him, because you didn't have a number 2, and he's getting double teamed and getting pounded on constantly. You ended up trying to use him as a running back because you didn't have any running backs. And the other part of this is him not being there for training camp and getting his body right with the rest of the team. Soft tissue injuries always happen when you go from 0 to 60. And we can't have that happen with Micah Parsons. Shout out to Micah Parsons, who is 26 years old today. Today is Micah Parsons' birthday. But this is interesting because we've got the whole culture shift and things that we're hearing from the players. They're all talking about it. But also they talk about CeeDee Lamb and how broke up he was, which I think is relevant. I think we really and truly have to look at this differently than the way we have in the past. We're making some strides. Let's listen in.
Cowboy talking about all all the new positive energy here?
Yeah, this is Kyer Elam, which is you talk about when you look at Kyer Elam, that's a guy who has NFL bloodlines. Like his family members, uncles, dad, all those guys have played in the NFL before. In fact, I think his dad was Abram Elam. I think he was here when you would have been going around the locker room,
4,
roughly.
5, something like that.
So, Kyer Elam, he's been around NFL culture for a long time. He went to Florida, SEC culture, and then he played in Buffalo and has been involved in a lot of different stuff. So he had given an interview to DallasCowboys.com, and NFL.com was writing up about it, that Kyer Elam cannot say enough nice things about this new culture that Brian Schottenheimer's established. He said, I feel like the energy here is something I've never been part of. I love the enthusiasm, and also I would just say the energy from the coaching staff. They actually make you feel like they care, and that's something that's very exciting. And that's something that when you look at that, he also said all aspects of the game, just playing the game before the game is even played, has been a lot of their focus, being able to eliminate routes and also expect what's coming so you don't have to play with your full athleticism. You can play with your mind first. So he's picking up a lot already from the staff, he feels like, in terms of approach, technique, different things like that. But the big headline to him is just, so far, this is a different culture than one I've been part of. Now, does that equal victories? Maybe not. But Brian Schottenheimer's banking on it's going to make a difference.
And then CeeDee Lamb was talking about just how hurt he was at the end of last season and how much he's spending to repair the body.
Yeah, this is distressing to me. So was it he got hurt in the Atlanta game too, wasn't it? Wasn't that the same game that Dak got hurt? Yeah, I think he got hurt at the Atlanta game. But you remember we were watching that game, whichever one it was where he'd hurt his shoulder, and we were just sitting there going like, why is he still out there? It seems like every time he lands on the ground, it's taking him 5 minutes to get up.
Yeah.
So he had spoken to the media the other day, and Skylar Dixon had transcribed this answer that he gave, talking about his AC joint recovery. He said it was the longest rehab. I want to say a good 5 months of real recovery and rehab. I don't know. I'm grateful to have two arms. I can tell you that. And it made me go back to thinking about just, man, if that looked at the time, because the Cowboys were trying to say, nope, he wasn't at any risk of making it any worse, which maybe he wasn't. Maybe it was just that bad. But if it's so bad that he's talking about the most intense, painful, like uncomfortable 5 months of recovery, there's no chance. Even if he could have hurt him, even if he couldn't have hurt himself more, there's no chance he should have been out there for any more snaps.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, be careful now because you're buddies with some of the medical staff from Billy Bob's.
I'm not saying. I'm saying that's.
Medical emergency.
What did
we got a mouth taper.
Yeah, so, it's interesting, Coach, because, we know CeeDee Lamb spends $50,000 a week as far as food and maintaining his body and system and everything else to try and heal. But the reality is the Cowboys went into this whole thing and basically said, we're not going to spend any money. You're going to do with what you got. CeeDee Lamb, we understand you're the only weapon that we got. You're going to run the football some. You're going to be like Deebo Samuels. And he took a pounding. And I look at CeeDee Lamb. He's not a real big guy that you want to have him running, getting tackled by defensive linemen. You just don't. And you're not using him to the best of his abilities. It's kind of like what we did with Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard should never have been a bit in the middle, pound the rock guy. That wasn't his game. You took him from being like a 5.5 yard average guy who's used to catching the ball and working outside to saying he's going to be our all-weather back. And he literally took off 1.5 yards per carry average from him. And that's what we ended up getting as far as working with our coaching staff. You didn't do anything to help him. You hamstrung him. And hopefully with Brian Schottenheimer, that's not the case, and it doesn't appear to be this way. This is kind of interesting here because Clarence Hill Jr., man, these guys are going after him and saying that he's Mr. Negative Nelly. And you know what? I think you actually need to kind of have some realism here because I'm excited about the season. I am very, very excited about the season, but I'm also grounded about where it's going to be. You've got a whole new coaching staff. You've got all these new players that all have to be meshed together. You've got one of the toughest schedules in football. And, I keep getting all these people that are screaming, oh, you're talking Super Bowls. Hey, I ain't talking about nothing like that. I am just being excited that the Cowboys are actually doing some things to try and build a team, that they're making some changes and trying to fix their culture and their attitude. And I'm excited about it. And it's okay here at the end of May as we sit how many days? 101 days, 9 hours, 58 minutes, and 10 seconds away from the kickoff against the Eagles. I'm going to be happy about it. I'm going to look forward to it. Do I have any delusions and think that we're going? No. If it happens, great. But I'm not setting myself up for that. So this guy tweeted at Clarence Hill, "You are a grumpy old man. You definitely get what the F he was saying. Stop playing dumb. You're negative all the time. I'll slick ass shit. And you say here, but, with all the slick ass shit you say here, but in every interview, you trying to make jokes and laughing loud. Everything you say is negative or pointing out the worst in everything." Another one, Willie D. Washington. "I'm just putting out how you're a hater and you hunt for negative shit to say. Give us the real when no one asks for it. Again, you get excited for the negative. Never see you get so hyped for something positive." Wow. Okay. So his response to this was, "Willie, I'm going to give you a break because I like your old school name, Willie D. Washington. I don't need to wait for somebody to ask me for anything on the Cowboys. That's my job, is to provide information. I've been on this wall since 1997, and I see all of those offseason platitudes and excitement turn into playoff disappointment." He's 100% right there. "It's time for Cowboys to walk the walk, put up or shut up. I have no hate in my heart. I actually would love to cover a Cowboys Super Bowl, but don't pee down my leg and tell me it's raining. You can drink the Kool-Aid with all of the Kool-Aid drinkers in the Kool-Aid vial. Much love to you." Yeah, and unfortunately, he's 100% right. We have seen all kinds of hype, platitudes, and good feelings turn to shit. That's the life of a Cowboy fan. And hopefully we're going to get something different. Now, I feel better about the team. I really and truly do. I feel like getting everybody here and trying to improve the roster and get some depth is definitely going to make this a better team. And I hope that this continues. I hope that with this being Micah Parsons' birthday, that we do not hamstring ourselves like we did with CeeDee Lamb, where he's coming in after camp and putting too much on him that you literally are shortening his career. We need to get Micah Parsons done. That's the biggest thing this offseason that they have not done, that they need to do. And they need to continue to try and work on getting this roster even better. The NFC East, it's going to be tough. The teams we got to face, it's going to be rough. And you need to be the best team you can, whole as possible, and signing Micah Parsons is part of that. And as we get ready to get out of here, the Aaron Rodgers saga. Oh, man. You know, you may not like Dak Prescott, but I'm so glad we're not dealing with this crackpot.
Fans, you're going to hear the question, and then you will find his answer interesting.
Will Aaron Rodgers ever go to the Bears?
Oh, boy. Security, can we get her out of here? I need some security. Security,
can you take it easy on her on this one? No, but I believe there's a team that might play in Chicago this year. Let's go! On a road trip. I don't know. I'm not sure. Got to check it out.
Well, you can check this out. The Pittsburgh Steelers do indeed play on a road trip to Chicago in Week 12. Dan Graziano, Mike Tannenbaum joining the conversation. Graz, I admit it. The fact that he knew that the Steelers played in Chicago felt relevant to me. I'm ashamed to acknowledge that on the air, but it did. What did you make of it, and what, if anything, are we hearing as they head into OTAs?
Yeah, what Aaron Rodgers likes the most is attention and being the center of it. So obviously he's enjoying this. He looks like he's enjoying it, and good for him. What to make of it is that he's seriously considered joining the Pittsburgh Steelers, which we already knew. But if he's seriously considering joining them, sure, he knows where they go for their road trips this year. He could probably tell you the rest of their road schedule as well. But in terms of are we hearing anything new, no. As of yesterday, when I was checking on this, no. People I'm talking to still don't know whether Aaron Rodgers will ultimately show up. The Steelers start their OTA practices tomorrow, and they have a mandatory minicamp in June 10th, I believe 10th, 11th, and 12th. So those are key dates to watch. It's not necessarily a deadline. Steelers still have not given Aaron Rodgers one of those, but if you're looking for, tentpole calendar events, those are two that are coming up that could potentially offer at least an opportunity to maybe ask somebody where things stand.
Mike T., you were a general manager in two different places. If this was a place you were the general manager, would you have a deadline?
Yes, it was about 6 weeks ago, Greeny, and here's why. You're trying to win the AFC North in 2025, and you're trying to compete against Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens and Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. Think about all the reps those teams have. If you look at this graphic here, look at all those reps, look at all those games those teams have played with Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Higgins, and Chase. So, Greeny, think about as good as DK Metcalf, we hope and believe, and as you mentioned in the meeting this morning, sure, they threw one time at UCLA, but they are massively behind this season in terms of reps and experience if they want to meaningfully compete in the AFC North.
Yes, Rodgers had multiple completions to DK Metcalf on a practice field at UCLA a couple of months ago, and that is the entirety of their connection. I want to play what Wilbon said here on Friday, Harry, and then I'll let you start the conversation with it there. Michael Wilbon was sitting in this chair, and I think he spoke for a lot of people about the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers. This is what he said.
Making a mistake if they let him anywhere near their building. What are we talking about? Do people just look at actually what happens in sports? Aaron Rodgers hasn't been relevant as a quarterback in the NFL for 4 or 5 seasons. What are we talking about? The Steelers are not, the hallmark of the Pittsburgh Steelers is not stupidity. Smart organization that makes right moves over decades. And they're going to bring Aaron Rodgers in with all his drama into that room? Really? the Mike Tomlin we know. He's going to deal with that nonsense? What? For a guy who can't play. I'm not talking, yes, he will wear a gold jacket. He's earned it. He's not wearing it now. He's not going to play in a gold jacket. The fact that we have now spent this much time talking about Aaron damn Rodgers Memorial Day weekend is insane. Stop with Aaron Rodgers. Stop.
Stop with Aaron. Dan Graziano that happy. I've known the man for years. Harry, is he right? I mean, is he right? Are the Steelers actually waiting for something that isn't going to do them that much good in the first place?
Whew. I think you can go both sides of the spectrum with this, right? We've seen the Pittsburgh Steelers have the ability to make the playoffs with incompetent quarterback play. Now, what they're probably hoping for when it comes to Aaron Rodgers is not that he's going to be the MVP that we've seen him be in this past, but be better than Russell Wilson, be better than we've seen, Mason Rudolph be. And then when I mention the name Mason Rudolph, I say to myself, well, you're not going into the AFC North and then better yet the AFC trying to win versus Mahomes and everyone else with Mason Rudolph as your quarterback. So I think their best bet right now is Aaron Rodgers, even though it will make you do back flips and front flips at the same time.
Danny?
Well, I think Wilbon's absolutely right, and I think that he's giving us the emperor has no clothes, right? Like everybody wants to talk about Aaron Rodgers going to the Steelers, and that's their hope. This is
that's not how much hope.
MVP Aaron Rodgers. This is not 2020 Aaron Rodgers. This is a shell of that. He was a bad quarterback in the NFL last season. He was not markedly better last season than Mason Rudolph was for the Tennessee Titans when he played. So I think what the Steelers are doing here is they assessed the quarterback market this offseason. They didn't really love any of the options, and so they didn't really stretch. They didn't try and outbid the Jets for Justin Fields. They didn't get into the Sam Darnold thing.
There's still Kirk Cousins out there.
Rodgers is fine if he shows up, and I think the Steelers are probably fine if he doesn't. Would they try and trade for Kirk Cousins, another flawed option at this point in his career? Maybe, but they kind of like Mason Rudolph. He's been in that building. He helped them get to the postseason 2 years ago with the way he played in December, and I just don't think the Steelers are sitting there there hanging on Aaron Rodgers' decision as if he says no, we're going to have to fold the franchise and not even play the 2025 season. I just don't think that's how they're looking at it.
Wow.
Mike T, final word.
Well, good luck, Steelers. That's all I can say. Good luck to you. All right, you good people, as always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. And don't forget what this day is about. Peace out.